If they're in middle school, you can still start now building that relationship, just opening that door of communication, being available to them.
And when we get into middle school and high school, the problems really aren't as cute, right? They're actually really scary.
Would you say that you guys were close while you were in middle school?
Yes, we were pretty close. Yeah, and it just grew over as I went to middle school and transitioned to high school as well.
My mom could really tell that I was struggling to keep up with like the standard of perfection, and I remember sharing with her about like just how exhausted I felt from trying to be just perfect and reach a standard that was impossible for me to be able to reach. And I definitely told my mom a lot about that. So
at some point you have to just stop and say, how are you? What's going on? How can I help? And then that will start a conversation, and you never know, what you may find from that conversation.
And she's still asking me the
yeah, I
questions.
followed her.
I get under the covers and I'm like, when is this conversation going to be over?
She's like
she's on the bed just asking me more questions. And some I chose to answer, and some I didn't think were helpful or appropriate for her.
The way that they would answer my questions, or like whenever I would go through something, like or I would be struggling with something or frustrated with something, they answered and helped me in a way that I think that God would have.
She saw early on with me, my faith is prayer, having people around me that believed in God.
Like I remember when I would get ready for school, my sister and I would come downstairs, and like my mom would just like be sitting there doing her devotional and stuff. And I knew that like faith was like a huge part of just like your everyday life.
Yeah, I remember she was a strong believer, and that prayer worked.
Kevin and I were in married small groups pretty consistently. I think just also modeling, community to them was really, we were doing it for ourselves, but a residual effect was that it brought security into the home.
Yeah.
The conversation went well because I had done the work first about sort of grieving that part of my past and walking through healing of that part of my past. And then, so I was kind of in a way ready to share from a lens of maybe regret and caution instead of, oh, I hate myself because of this. Because I didn't hate myself anymore. I knew that the Lord had redeemed that in me. So I was able to come from a place of redemption.
I tried to be open with her. I didn't keep any things that were going on with the family from her or from my son for that matter. I was always open and tried to keep the line of communication open. They could talk to me about anything and I could talk to them about anything. With De'Ara, she shared her experiences with boys and dating, and then her girlfriend relationships. And some of those were good and some of those were bad. And sometimes I didn't want to know everything, but as a mom, you just kind of put on your filter and you listen and be there and try and encourage her and guide her the best way. Because if she's not coming to me, then that means she's going to a stranger who's inputting their values and morals into her spirit. So you try to be that person for your child. You have to begin that relationship early. Once they hit middle school or even after middle school, when life is, so many people or so many things are coming at them, it's harder to break that shell. If you develop that shell or develop that relationship early on, I think it's easier for it to grow.
I remember when they were babies and our pediatrician would say, only answer what's asked. So when Katie asked, oh, where do babies come from? I would say my body. Like I wouldn't go into dating relationships or sex before marriage or any of that.
Yeah.
I wanted
like
to. Yeah, I just asked what was answered. So I think when it comes to those middle school years, they're so tender. They just want to know that we're real people, and that as the best practice that I had as a mom is only just to answer what was asked.
There's nothing that I just kept from her. We pretty much talked all the time about anything, relationships, friendships, boys, any topic. I was comfortable enough to ask her questions about it.
And I think she ended up calling home because she needed a ride because something happened. But I'm glad that she was able to call me and she felt comfortable to call me. And I know she's going to make her own mistakes. She has her own walk. So I'm not there to say, you know, you got to have your own life experiences. But I just want to be there when they kind of go left, that she feels comfortable enough to say, Mom, this is what happened, or I need help, or I'm in this situation, than to call someone that she doesn't know. Our relationship today, I feel, is awesome.
I hope that my relationship with my daughters is strong because I focused more on being a safe person instead of being the perfect mom.
I agree. I would say it's great, and I would also say it's still growing.
Yeah, I'm very proud of you. I'm glad that you introduced us to this Christ environment. So I just want to let you know that I want you to keep that attitude and that fire to learn about Jesus in your life, because when you become my age, you're going to need that to pull back on.
I trust you, and I know that whatever you do will be amazing, and I look forward to it. Regardless of where we are as moms on the faith spectrum, there's one thing we can all agree on, and that is that we love our daughters and would go to the ends of the earth for them.
Love you, Tiara.